Hey everyone, it's me Gavin Vengeance and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Stellar Blade Blood Rain, our upcoming release by Shift Up, which is the sequel to the original Stellar Blade, as indicated by Jeff Keighley at the end of the trailer that was revealed at Summer Game Fest 2026.
That was a good one. Shift Up is returning to the world of Stellar Blade with an all-new sequel developed entirely by the original team that's here today. Set in the same universe as Stellar Blade, this next chapter continues the story beyond the events of the first game, introducing a new protagonist who you saw there, Evie. It's early in development, and we will have more to share in the future.
I am incredibly excited about this game. If you guys have not seen my reaction, I'll have a link to that posted down in the description below, and you guys can go check that out. But today we're just going to be talking a little bit about the game, a couple of things that have been said about it, and some of the ongoing drama and stuff like that I'm not really going to delve too much into. But I did want to touch base about that, so we'll get that out of the way first and foremost. First thing I'll say, I think that Evie is a great looking character, and as far as I understand from what the director or one of the people that was working on the game had stated in an interview, they were drawing a lot of inspiration from Alita Battle Angel, which I believe is an animated movie, which I have not seen myself, but I do intend on checking out before getting into Stellar Blade Blood Rain. But again, it seems very interesting. I think she's a great looking character, and I do believe that despite all the drama and everything, we will get to see many different looks for Evie throughout the run of Blood Rain, considering the fact that there's more than likely going to be lots of customization options. We did get to see a lot of different customization options in the original Stellar Blade, so I'm guessing we're more than likely going to end up seeing that, and there's actually something that kind of indicates that in the trailer that we did get for Summer Game Fest. That is actually the Gwen salon, right? So the Gwen hair salon is something that is available in Stellar Blade, and we do get to see a little sneak peek of signage down in the city that we get a little look at today in the trailer as well. So again, we can see that Gwen hair salon sign, and again, I think that really indicates that we are going to have a lot of customizability when it comes to Evie. I do also believe that that was stated in the interview as well, talking about her having multiple different looks, something again akin to the original Stellar Blade, where we got over 100 different outfits for Eve, and then we also got different hairstyles for her, other hairstyles available as part of collaboration DLC and so on and so forth. So again, I do feel like we're going to be able to highly customize Evie with even more options, more than likely, when it comes to Blood Rain. Again, I just wanted to get that out of the way because again, I know there's a lot of talk about drama and people hating on the game or whatever because of the character's design, and we got to see a lot of that again with the original release of Stellar Blade. People are just gonna speak their minds, and they're gonna either agree or disagree with the character design. They're gonna have thoughts about that. I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and in my own opinion, and whatever is your style, and I can't speak for that for you. That is personal. But for me, I really like Evie's design. I am optimistic. I can't wait to see more of this character, learn a little bit more about her backstory and everything. And we kind of got a little bit of that anyways with the trailer, right? She is receiving instructions from another character. I believe the name is Kana or something, I believe, in the trailer. Again, I'm just going off the top of my head without actually watching the trailer right here in front of me. So again, my apologies about any pronunciations or references that I may have fudged up here in recording this. But again, we do get to see that she almost is like an undercover agent of some sort, working to solve some sort of issue related to this brand new virus, right? Which I'm believing they're referring to as Scarlet Sin. At least that's what I'm getting out of the trailer and what we hear spoken, but again, I have no idea if that's actually what it is called, but it seems to be a brand new strand of some sort of virus that has gotten its way into the hands of the public, and they are using this to mutate. Now, we do see one NPC at the very beginning of the trailer, and he says something about, hearken the false rain. It's something along the lines of that, and in the name of the Father, he injects himself, mutates, and then, runs into this power outlet or something, blows up. substation. I don't know what it's called, dude. This character runs in and then it blows up, and then, you know, you get to see the explosion, and everybody's like, holy crap, what's going on? So again, I'm guessing that's the premises of the story, or at least one segment of the story of Blood Rain. It's just trying to figure out, like, who's distributing Scarlet Sin, or who's distributing this virus, and, you know, who's making it available to the public, right? Now, I will point out, however, that we have not gotten any sort of confirmation about whether or not these are Naytiba, per se. So again, we will probably talk a little bit of spoilers here in this video. I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning, but just to kind of go over my own thoughts, right? I know that there are multiple different endings for the original Stellar Blade, and I would highly encourage you guys to go and check out the original game if you haven't already, so that way you can experience them yourself. I am currently on like my 6th playthrough for Stellar Blade, because I've played through 3 times on PS5, and now I'm working on my 3rd playthrough on PC currently. I really love the original game, so I'm trying to soak up as much information as I can and kind of draw some sort of parallels with the trailer that we got for Blood Rain. I know that it is very early in development, but again, I know that there's been a lot of talks of people saying that this new city that we're seeing in Blood Rain may be the colony. I don't know if there's been any, like, concrete confirmation on that or not, but that would definitely indicate one of the endings being the canon ending, and I'm not sure which one it actually will be, whether it is the one where, you know, you decide to go against Adam, and then you end up, you know, destroying essentially all Naytiba, as we see indicated in that final scene with all the different, like, pods exploding or whatever upon his death, or if the canon ending is where we side with Adam and we form a new super species, right, where Naytiba and the Andro-Ados fuse. So again, I'm not sure which one is the canon ending. If we are indeed on the colony in Blood Rain, then evidently we did take down Adam at the end of the game, and that is the canon ending, right? However, if it's the other way around, then I don't believe it would be the colony, considering the fact that, you know, the brand new species that Eve evolves into after fusing with Adam takes out an entire fleet of Andro-Ados, right, as part of Project Eve, which was issued by Mother Sphere. Now, again, I have no idea if that would tie directly into Stellar Blade Blood Rain, but it is a possibility. The one thing I will say about that, however, is that it is a sequel, right? Like Jeff Keighley straight out said, that this follows the events of the original Stellar Blade, okay? This happens after, so it is not a prequel, which I was personally hoping for. I wanted to see more involvement or more story related to Raven, who is one of my favorite characters. But speaking about Raven, we did not see a definitive death for Raven in Stellar Blade, the original, right? So that is leaving things open for her to return in some way, shape, or form in Stellar Blade Blood Rain, which I would love to see as well. That is a character that is incredibly cool to me. I love her style. I love the attitude that she has. I love her because, like, I just feel like she has such a rich backstory that we got to see only a snippet of in Stellar Blade, and I want to see that expanded upon with Blood Rain as well, right? So I hope she returns, whether it be as like an ally or an antagonist or something. Who knows? We will leave that up to the developers to decide for us when we do eventually get Blood Rain, but I would love to see her return. Again, and depending on the outcomes here that we do have with the endings, there's possibility that we may also see Mother Sphere in some capacity as well, right? Or Lily. I do want to mention, however, I do find that, like, Evie has a striking resemblance to Lily, as many of you guys have pointed out in the comments on my reaction video as well. I wonder if the naming of Evie may be tied to that, right? Like, maybe Evie is related directly to Lily and Eve. Maybe that's just wishful thinking, I have no idea, but I also do believe that some people had mentioned that Eve may be returning as well in Stellar Blade Blood Rain, which would be really cool to see. I'm not sure where her cameo is going to fall in the game, But I also would believe that that is a very solid piece of evidence, considering the fact that we did get a video from Shin Jae-yoon, the body motion capture for, or I think, yeah, her body was used as a body scan for the motion capture for Eve in the original Stellar Blade. Well, she had just recently posted a video over on her YouTube channel of her back at the Shift Up offices, and she was actually in the same setup with all the cameras and everything, right, taking all the body scans again for her. So really would not be surprising to see Eve return in some capacity in Blood-Rain. That is something I am fully expecting. But again, just talking about Blood-Rain and wanting to see other things in this game, but we will talk about the concrete evidence that we do have here, and this is stuff that, you know, has not been mentioned in like interviews or anything. It's just specifically on the trailer. The opening shot that we get, many of you guys pointed out, and this is something I probably should have picked up on, but the robot that is actually in the cafe in the opening sequence has the same face as another beloved robot that we get to see in Stellar Blade, Digger, right? So this is somebody that we find in the junkyard. You help him out or whatever, and he's got the same like digital display on his face as this other robot in the cafe. That was something cool that I did not pick up on initially. When I saw the trailer, immediately as soon as I saw the vending machine, that was a dead giveaway for me. And then of course like the music in the background as well, right? Which is a very mellow, chill vibe, very similar again to the original Stellar Blade. Again, that is something I found really cool. I love how lively this area feels as well, and we've got a lot of like different modes of transportation going on here with the entire like subway or train or whatever you want to call it. We've got that some sort of like monorail or rail device going on here, right, transporting people back and forth. We get to see a bunch of like flying vehicles and whatever in the city as well. There's just like a lot more like urban architecture going on as well. There's like all kinds of different signs indicating like different like food alleyways or food stores and stuff like that, as indicated by the text, which I translated through like Gemini or whatever with my phone. I'm just taking pictures and trying to determine every little detail that I can see here in the trailer, right? But it's really cool in that aspect that we get to see a lot more like livelihood. And again, this could really tie into the endings. Are these more Andro ADOS, or are these different species altogether? Are these all maybe the brand new super species possibly that is created right by the fusion? We have no idea. We have to find that out. Then again, we also get to see like there are, you know, some people that seem to be a little more rough around the edges, like these thugs that she's pursuing in the beginning, right? They're the ones that have their hands on Scarlet Sin, the virus. They're injecting it, so we get to see that there is a little bit more of that like gritty underground nature that we get to see present as well in the city. Again, and we get to see them mutate, and the mutations are much more like graphic. They seem a little more gory in comparison to the mutations that we saw in the OG. That just maybe that has something to do with the recruitment of, you know, I think his name is Shinji Mikami. Again, if I'm mispronouncing that, my apologies, but this is a person that had worked on Resident Evil and like Devil May Cry and a bunch of other things from Capcom, right? So he recently went off and started his own studio, but was just, I believe, purchased or partnered with Shift Up. Again, I'm not sure the exact terminology on that, so somebody correct me in the comments, please. My apologies. Again, this is off the cusp, okay? So, but he probably has some sort of influence in that stylistic choice. It seems to be going a little bit more of like that horror nature in terms of like the grotesque looking monsters that we get to encounter here, right? I'm trying to refrain from calling them Natiba because they very well may not be Natiba. They seem much more human, right? Like we actually get to see like pieces of their faces just kind of like split and like hanging, and one of them has a gigantic like eyeball in its mouth and stuff, and it just seems a lot more like just mutated humans. And that's very creepy, but I love that stylistic choice because some of my favorite segments in Stellar Blade were actually the more like Resident Evil inspired areas, right? So I love that we're actually getting a little bit more of that like horror vibe, and I would love to see how many sections are going to be that style with Blood-Rain. But again, we've got to see a lot of cool like segments, a lot of cool combat like sequences as well going on in the trailer. It seems like the combat's a little more fast-paced than the original Stellar Blade. which some people found was a little bit too slow for them. But I will admit, like, the game is slow to start off, but once you start unlocking a lot of the skills in the skill tree and everything, it speeds up, and I feel like it's very responsive, and it makes you feel like there's consequences for your actions, which is something I can say about Stellar Blade that I can't say about like every other game that I've played recently that's action-based. It's not as fast as Platinum games, but it's also not as like slow and weighty as say something like Monster Hunter or even like some of the Souls games, right? So Souls, Elden Ring, all that style of game, I do feel like there's a little bit more weight behind each and every single one of your attacks, which I do feel like Stellar Blade kind of struck the perfect balance there for me. But with Blood Rain, it seems like we are getting a little bit more fast-paced action combat. Obviously, you know, everything we do see in the trailer here is melee-based with hand-to-hand combat. We also do get to see like an arm blade as well on Eevee. I do believe that some people had also said that in the interview there was mention of Eevee being able to have access to multiple different weapons, which makes me think that there's more than likely going to be a ranged option as well for her. Maybe something similar to the drone that we got to see in the original Stellar Blade. But again, we'll have to wait and see on that. I will just say that the combat looks very, very polished. It looks incredible, and I love that we get to see the familiar visual cues of like the blink mechanic, right? So we'll more than likely have blink, repulse, and then maybe even the same yellow indicator for like dodge or whatever. And who knows, whatever else may be added in to change up the gameplay a little bit more. But I am very excited to get my hands on the game. It did seem like a lot of the encounters that were shown off in the trailer as well, and maybe this is just intentional for the trailer, but they seem to have more of like a one-on-one combat style, which is again very reminiscent of the OG. There weren't many instances in that game where you had like multiple enemies come at you at once. There are some areas, don't get me wrong, but it felt a lot more like you were having a one-on-one confrontation, and you had to learn each and every single enemy and their attack patterns, and that is something that I would like to see return with Blood Rain as well. So fingers crossed for that. But I will say, man, there's been a lot of like inspiration here, and again that we get to see from other things like Ghost in the Shell and many other different like properties. They are very much starting off very strong with the showing. I really can't wait to see what else is to come in the future, and any more information that we do get regarding Stellar Blade Blood Rain will be talked about and shown here on the channel. So that is a great reason for you guys to subscribe if you want to learn more about Blood Rain as we do get more information. I'm very much looking forward to more news. I'm not expecting to see the game until probably sometime in like 2028, 2029. I know that is probably a way out, but they did indicate that it is still very early in development. So, you know, it could be very soon. I have no idea. They are very capable of making incredible properties, as we got to see with, like, you know, Goddess of Victory Nike, and then, of course, the original Stellar Blade, and then, you know, even Destiny Child was a fantastic game. Yeah, that's right, Destiny Child, not Destinies, not the music group. Okay. But Shift Up has been on a roll. I really can't wait to see what else is to come from them, and I'm very eager to find out more about Blood Rain. Again, those are just my thoughts on Blood Rain and what I want to see going forward with this. I know that you know, there's not really a whole ton of information out there, but I've just been like scratching my head, replaying this trailer over and over and over and trying to figure out every little detail I can, zooming in on like every single bit of text I can to try to figure out more about this, and I've just been obsessive over it. Again, and if you guys found my channel based on my reaction, then thank you very much for giving me a chance, and if you've listened to my rambling this long, then that's another great reason to hit subscribe, because I really appreciate the support. And then also give the video a thumbs up if you guys wouldn't mind. That helps out very, very much. But that's pretty much just going to do it for this video, talking about Stellar Blade Blood Rain. Let me know your own thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know anything that you guys are looking forward to, and any other recommendations outside of a little Battle Angel that I should be checking out, to hopefully get myself caught up with this entire aesthetic of this game. It looks beautiful. I am very excited for it. But anyways, that is going to do it for me, so I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Peace.